Instead of sitting in meditation and thinking you know what your breath will be like, or the present moment in front of you will be like, just pay attention. See it with fresh eyes. Drop your preconceived ideas and just look clearly at what's in front of you. Sit comfortably and upright. Pay attention to your body, then your breath, trying to feel them clearly and freshly, like it's the first breath you ever took. When you notice yourself having preconceived ideas, wandering from the present moment, thinking you know how it will be, just notice that. Then notice the next breath. See if you can drop the ideas and thoughts and fantasies and stories that are filling up your head. Empty yourself so you can see what's actually in front of you. See what your breath is actually like right now, this instant, instead of what you think it will be or what you're thinking about. See what this moment is actually like right now. Repeat this over and over. See the thoughts and fantasies. Empty yourself and see what's actually there with fresh eyes.
We have two kinds of consciousness. One I will call the spotlight and the other the floodlight. The spotlight is what we call conscious attention. And that is trained into us from childhood as the most valuable form of consciousness. When the teacher in class says, "Pay attention," everybody stares and looks fast at the teacher like that. That's spotlight consciousness. Fixing your mind on one thing at a time. Concentrate. And even though you may not be able to have a very long attention span, nevertheless you concentrate. You use your spotlight, one thing after another, flip, 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 like that. But we also have another kind of consciousness, which I'll call the floodlight. For example, you can drive your car for several miles with a friend sitting next to you, and your spotlight consciousness will be completely absorbed in talking to your friend. Nevertheless, your floodlight consciousness will manage the driving of the car, will notice all the stoplights, the other idiots on the road, and so on, and you'll get there safely, without even thinking about it. But our culture has taught us to specialize in spotlight consciousness and to identify ourselves with that form of consciousness alone. I am my spotlight consciousness. My conscious attention, that is my ego, that is me. And very largely we ignore the floodlight. Now the floodlight consciousness is working all the time. Every nerve end that we have is its instrument.
Today, I will talk about spotlight consciousness and lantern consciousness. Spotlight consciousness is familiar to most adults. It's the one we use most frequently, like when you're doing a task. This is where your attention is focused narrowly on the task. You're paying close attention to the task and excluding everything else, like a conversation near you. Lantern consciousness is the wide-open, basic state of children. They don't know what's ahead, so they open their attention to take in everything. This terminology was popularized by Alison Gopnik in her book, The Philosophical Baby: What Children's Minds Tell Us About Truth, Love, and the Meaning of Life. Buddhists talk about a similar idea with the concept of shoshin, or beginner's mind, an attitude of openness, curiosity, eagerness, and lack of preconceptions when studying a subject, even if studying at an advanced level, just like a beginner would. Zen master Shunryoku Suzuki said in his book, Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, in the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities. In the expert's mind, there are few. Alison Gopnik says, consciousness, attention, and brain plasticity all seem to be linked. And attention and plasticity is much more widely distributed in young animals, including human babies. It's like a lantern. I've always loved the childlike moments, however brief, when our mind seemed to be open to the entire world around us. The experience celebrated by romantic poets and Zen sages alike. The neuroscience makes me think that these moments are not just a passing thrill. Cultivating this lantern consciousness, this broad focus, might help make us almost as good as babies at changing our brains. According to Gopnik, you might experience something like this if you travel to an exotic destination, wanting to absorb as much as possible about the sights, smells, tastes, and tactile sensations of the place, and of course to revel in your own experiences. This is why your experiences of your first few days in a place like Paris are so strong compared to your experience of your previous routine life. This kind of mental openness is a big part of why babies are very intelligent, maybe more so than adults. Here's an experiment that has been done again and again with the same results. They give 15-month-olds and 18-month-olds 2 bowls of food, one with raw broccoli and the other with tasty crackers, and had the kids eat from both. Everybody liked the crackers. Then the experimenters tasted each food. Half the time she showed she liked one food and not the other. Half the time she liked the crackers, but half of the time she went yum to the broccoli. Then she asked the children to give her some food. The 15-month-old kids just stared at her for a while. then offered the crackers, since that's what they themselves liked best. The 18-month-old right away gave her what she liked the best, even if it was the broccoli. This shows two things. First, that both age groups wanted to cooperate with the tester to make her happy. The second was in the 3 months between 15 and 18 months, they had learned that other people were different from them, that they could like different things, even things the child thought were yucky. This kind of openness and creativity is found in the experimental approach of 4-year-olds, where they form a hypothesis, test it, and then revise it. This is shown in this video extracted from her TED Talks. What do babies think?
So in these circumstances, the children are using statistics to find out about the world. But after all, scientists also do experiments, and we wanted to see if children are doing experiments. When children do experiments, we call it getting into everything, or else playing. And there's been a bunch of interesting studies recently that have shown that this playing around is really a kind of experimental research program. Here's one from Christine Laguerre's lab. What Christine did was use our Blicket detectors, and what she did was show children that yellow ones made it go and red ones didn't, and then she showed them an anomaly. And what you'll see is that this little boy will go through 5 hypotheses in the space of 2 minutes. Okay, so his first hypothesis has just been falsified.
Nothing. This one's lighting up and this one's not.
Okay, he's got his experimental notebook out.
What's making this light up?
Every scientist will recognize that expression of despair, right?
Oh, it's because this needs to be like this, and this needs to be like that.
Okay, hypothesis 2.
That's why. Oh.
Now this is his next idea. He tells the experimenter to do this, to try putting it out over onto the other location. Not working either.
Oh, because the light goes only to here, not here. Oh, the bottom of this box has electricity in here, but this doesn't have electricity.
Okay, that's the 4th hypothesis.
It's lighting up. So we need to put 4. So we need to put 4 on this one to make it light up and 2 on this one to make it light up.
Okay, there's the 5th hypothesis.
Zen Buddhism teaches approaches to help you to this lantern consciousness, this beginner's mind. Here are a few. First, mindful eating. You start with fresh eyes, as if you don't know what to expect, as if you hadn't done it thousands of times already. You really look at the food, the bowl, the spoon, and try to see the details that you might not normally notice. Truly notice the textures, tastes, smells, sights of the food. Pay close attention to as if you don't already know how the food will taste. Everything seems new, perhaps even full of wonder. You don't take anything for granted and appreciate every bite as a gift. It is temporary, fleeting, and precious. In your everyday life, you can practice this right now with whatever is in front of you, with how your body feels, how your breath feels, whatever else is around you. What's it like when everything is new? You can practice whenever you do any activity, from brushing your teeth to washing the dishes to walking and driving and working out and using your phone. What's it like if it's the first time? You can practice whenever you talk to another person, dropping your ideas of how they should be, and instead emptying your mind and seeing them as they are. Notice their good heart, their difficulties, and be grateful for them as they are. Love them for who they are, and find compassion for their struggles. What is it like when they and you are just who you are and open? Brings better experiences. You aren't clouded by prejudgments, preconceptions, fantasies about what it should be, or assumptions about what you already know it will be. When you don't have these expectations, you can't be disappointed because there's no fantasy or preconception to compare it to. Now, with relationships, they will be better if you are talking to someone else instead of being frustrated by them because they aren't meeting your ideal. You can see them with fresh eyes and notice that they're just trying to be happy, that they have good intentions, even if they're not your intentions, and they are struggling just like you are. This transforms your relationship with the person. You also will have less procrastination. If you're procrastinating on a task, you could look at it with beginner's mind, and instead of worrying about the problems and how hard it will be and how you might fail, you can be curious about the task and what it will be like. You can notice the details of doing the task instead of trying to get away from them. You might notice that you enjoy the details. You'll find less anxiety. For example, if you have an upcoming event or meeting that you're anxious about, instead of worrying about what might happen, you can open yourself to being curious about it and what will happen. Let go of your preconceived ideas about the outcome and instead embrace not knowing. Embrace being present and finding gratitude in the moment for what you're doing and who you're meeting. You'll also have more creativity. Imagine how the creative mind of a 4-year-old works. It's open, curious, not worried about failure, imaginative, making connections, persistent. This could be your mind with practice to change mental habits. For me, to one another, neuroscientists have confirmed that approaching meditation with an open consciousness, like this lantern consciousness, is what brings about the greatest ongoing growth in your brain, of your gray processing cells and the white connection cells. I think the same is true for you in your everyday life. The more you are like this, the more your brain keeps growing. My experience also is the more I am happy each day. Beginner's mind, lantern consciousness, when I practice beginner's mind in my meditation, it makes it a very different experience. When I meditate in my usual way, I feel comfortable and confident that I know what's going on and what to expect. But with beginner's mind, I approach the meditation differently, more open, more observant. I'm curious, what's this going to be like? It also sometimes is less comfortable. It has to be okay with me to be less comfortable. It turns out that I'm the most comfortable when I feel secure that I know what's going on. So letting go of that means I have to face not being comfortable. The key is to do this like I've never done it before. So I'm curious about everything. Everything is unexpected. This is so different from doing something that is a habit, something that you know how to approach and do. I invite you to try this for yourself in your daily life. Set your intention and then set about doing something, anything, like you've never done it before. Be open to the experience. Be curious. What's it like when you are less confident, when you don't know? What's it like when you do this for the first time? What does it feel like? What do you notice? What do you see? What about the colors? What do you hear? What do you smell? What do you feel? How do you feel? When it is new, there is so much to see and hear and feel. We are surrounded by wonder. We just have to open to it.
Zen Mind Beginner's Mind consists of a collection of notes taken by students during Shinryu Suzuki's lectures. And the essence of this book is found in this quote from the Zen Master. The practice of Zen Mind is beginner's mind. The innocence of first inquiry, what am I, is needed throughout the Zen practice. The mind of a beginner is empty, free from habits of the expert, ready to accept, to doubt, and open to all possibilities. It is the mind which sees things as they are, which step by step and in a flash can realize original nature of everything. This shows the essence of the book which is simplicity and being open. This book is then split into 3 different aspects which can help one reach this beginner's mind. Firstly, right practice. The practice of Zen involves sitting in a seated position and meditating, which they call Zazen. Here we're going to look at key aspects of your posture. So, the most important thing is to keep the back straight. Then you're going to try and fold your legs into lotus position. This involves having the right foot on the left thigh and the left foot on the right thigh. If you can't do this because you're not flexible enough, you can also do half lotus or just cross legs works well. And then we make sure that our ears and our shoulders are in a line by relaxing the shoulders back and down. Hands are in your lap with the left hand on top of the right hand so that the middle fingers touch one another, and then the thumbs are brought to touch together to form an oval inside the hand. This is known as the Cosmic Mudra. Hands are held up against the body in the lap with the thumbs at the level of the navel, with the arms just slightly away from the body. Once your posture is correct, then you focus on your breathing. Here he says to focus on the breath as if it was a door opening and closing. You just watch it open and close without trying to close or open the door yourself. My favorite example to use is imagining your breath as waves in the ocean, and the inhales are the waves crashing and the exhales are the waves drawing back, and you're just watching it like you do when you're at the sea without trying to control it. And while you're watching your breath, you will notice that your thoughts keep coming and distracting you from your focus. The point here is just to watch your thoughts as they come, and you don't need to restrict them or try to control them. Just watch them form and let them pass, and then return back to your breathing. Finally, he talks about bowing 9 times at the end of each practice, and this is done to remove the ego and surrender oneself to the universe. Next, let's look at having the right attitude when practicing Zazen. Firstly, focus is on being present in each and every moment during your Zazen practice. Here he gives the example of how fire completely burns up wood, leaving no memories of the past and nothing else added, such as emotions or pride, to one's practice. And you start by focusing on just being present during your practice, and then you try and bring it into your whole life. Secondly, acceptance. This involves accepting each moment as it is and seeing all feelings and disturbances without any judgment. Just as weeds grow and flowers die, this is all the cycle of life. And as the weeds die, they will then become fertilizer for new flowers to grow, and thus the cycle continues. Next, do not add anything to your practice such as pride, desire, or goals, as these hinder your progress to reaching your true nature. And finally, naturalness. This is like a seed following its path to become a tree. They do not think, they just be exactly what they are. And finally, we'll look at having the right understanding. Here, there are 8 core principles from the book, and these are all gems of wisdom which one can use to help improve their practice. The first one is that the true purpose of Zen is to see things as they really are. Next is that we exist not for the sake of something else, we exist for the sake of ourselves. Focus on experience, not philosophy. Zen is about returning to your original nature through Zazen, and not about understanding or learning philosophy. And this is part of the reason why there's not much philosophy in this book. Do not focus too much on your teachings or what your teacher says. Zazen is all about you. The teacher gives you the understanding, but only you can find your true nature. And next, he recommends that practice should be done daily and consistently to achieve good results, and that the practice should be done according to the individual, little by little, so that you don't fizzle out if you try to do too much too quickly. Next, practicing emptiness. This is about hearing all information as if it's the first time you've heard it, and do not add your own preconceived ideas towards it. You just listen completely openly, and then afterwards you can decide whether this information is useful or not. And finally, true Buddhism is that Buddha is in everyone, everything, and every action. So this makes all actions and things equally important. So, in summary, the main concepts of the book are: first, right posture; secondly, right attitude; and thirdly, right understanding. Thanks for watching.
This is the time in our service when we ask that you remember that we share our gifts here through pledging and donations. Instructions for payments to the fellowship are on a slide during the announcements before the service every week. And while you are considering your gifts to the fellowship, remember that each month LCUUF donates 5,000 pesos or more to an organization providing food aid in our lakeside community. For the month of August, we are supporting Poco a Poco, which assists poor communities east of Chapala. When you pay your pledge, please add something for Share the Basket, as you used to place pesos in our physical basket. You can donate in the same way that you pay your pledge, but please donate Share the Basket separately, or indicate what part of your donation is for Share the Basket. Your offerings are gratefully received. Let us extinguish, we're still getting donations here in Fellowship Hall. I'm sorry, I'm still on the Zoom head, but we have people. Let us extinguish our chalices with these words, which we read together. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we keep in our hearts and share with all the world.
The practice of Zen mind is beginner's mind, the innocence of the first inquiry. What am I? Is needed throughout Zen practice. The mind of the beginner is empty, free of habits of the expert, ready to accept, to doubt, and open to all the possibilities. It's the kind of mind that can see things as they are, which step by step and in a flash can realize the original nature of everything.